Mighty Ducks, man. Would you say that's one of the greatest kids sports movies?
He almost even says it to Robbie before the baby says it. He's like, they got a word for you down at the YMCA. Me and my buddies talk about people like you. Marge is like, well, you showed the mouse took out the cat's lungs in an episode, played them like bagpipes, and the next scene, the cat was just fine. So where's the consequence in that? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. What's that? And just runs away.
Happened in the 90s.
You call me Blarney? What?
I said Lenny because I'm looking up Of Mice and Men right now, but, bad joke.
Dude, speaking of Lenny, he might be one of the best R word portrayals in all of film history. Like, people talk about Forrest Gump, Dustin Hoffman, and Rain Man, but damn it, John Malkovich, you are in the pantheon of R words.
I mean, I don't scientifically, medically, wasn't he kicked in the head by a horse, I think? But
Well,
mentally disabled, hell yeah. And Malkovich,
yeah,
I got to give him credit.
he did that.
He's good at playing a Russian poker player or just a crafty psychopath. He's good at this too. So he didn't go full R though, Steve.
You never go full R, word to Robert. But man, I don't think that portrayal gets enough credit. I remember watching this in English class. I don't know why. I mean, I guess because it's based off of a book, but that's the one thing that stood out. I remember this was freshman year of high school, which was over 20 years ago.
Always loved whenever you got to watch a movie instead of just like discuss the book. That was
Yeah.
always great. I don't remember watching this because I feel like I would have really seeing Sinise and Malkovich, even as a kid, that's Lieutenant Dan, dude.
Well, you probably didn't have Mr. Ricard, the teacher with no eyebrows.
Maybe not. I don't remember who I had that year, but I don't like this movie, and I didn't like the book, but you gotta give credit where credit's due, dude. If I gotta consume this product, Sinise and Malkovich, I'm going there. And I never knew this is how much I haven't known about Sinise, and I respect this guy. This guy produced this fucking movie too. I mean, Sinise is like
Yeah.
behind the scenes as much as he's in front of the camera.
Yeah, and now he's saving the world, man. I remember in my Fox days, we would always air this PSA that he's like in huge support of the troops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah, dude. And I think his like portrayal of a vet in Forrest Gump's a huge part of it. But yeah, you always see stuff with him in the news where he's either doing something, donating money, getting like awareness to some veteran organization. But shout out, dude, Sinise. I love
Totally shout out.
Sinise. And he plays a fun bad guy too, an evil Sinise every once in a while.
Snake Eyes, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Mighty Ducks, man. Would you say that's one of the greatest kids sports movies?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. It created multiple movies that I enjoyed. I'm just not a huge hockey fan.
Me neither.
So I immediately put Sandlot in front of this in terms of sports movies, but this is above Big Green in my opinion.
Above Ladybug?
Ooh, that's tough. Quality wise, yes. I just
Wow.
I think Ladybugs is just a fun movie, dude. Versus Rodney.
I mean, you add Rodney to anything, man. I'm going to like that part at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. You're right, but no, I mean, this isn't my sport. But after a rewatch, Steve, and sort of remembering some of the smaller details of this movie, makes me laugh. It makes me really appreciate it more as an adult. Honestly,
Yeah, man.
little Gordon Bombay action, a little DUI, little DUI in a kids movie, Steve.
A Disney movie.
Yeah, just a Dewey, just a nice little Dewey, and then I love the logic that hey, what's the best solution for a DUI? Get this guy in with some kids immediately. Get him coaching some kids. That'll get him back on track.
Could only imagine if his brother was the coach. Oh man.
Waiting those kids, it'd be a lot more fun seasons.
Yeah, several more sequels.
Coach Sheen's banging 7-gram rocks and finishing them, guys.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to be winning.
Shout out, dude.
This is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Spice One tapes and your Spice Girl posters, because today is going to be the day that they're going to throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized what you got to do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. About you now.
Is that Liam Gallagher?
The black version. Today, my friend, we're talking all things October 2nd in the 90s. Did you just try to grab my ass? Starting off in 1991, Dinosaurs is airing season 2, episode 3, I Never Ate from My Father. Earl insists Robbie isn't acting carnivorous enough, so the teen stages a protest by becoming a vegetarian.
This is a deep episode, Steve. Deep episode of Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Gave us some metaphors to try to pick apart. I know for me it did.
A little Brontosaurus Bob Dylan as well. I love that. Just getting into like a hippie vibe with the dinosaurs. Didn't know it happened. Wasn't
I
aware
didn't,
of this.
I didn't know if that was Bob Dylan or Chuck Mangione.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Yeah, maybe it was Bob Dylan.
I think we're going in a Dylan direction. You know, right away we get what we want out of the show, the baby. That was the money getter. And we start off with it. We see this manipulative little lizard just trying to get another bottle of food because he's a little fat tyrant. What's the mom's name? Francine? No.
Fran.
Fran.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not giving up. She's not giving the kid what he wants. So he starts trying to look for other stuff. Finds his tail, Steve. This is a little recurring gig we got here where him and his tail are in this battle of wits, and he keeps trying to bite it to eat it, but when he does, it doesn't feel good, Steve.
Yeah, he starts biting it. Then he ends up stabbing his tail.
Right in
Baby
the
might be, yeah, is he a masochist, baby?
Yeah, he might be into some weird stuff when he gets older, Steve. Right before he joins the YMCA, which we find out right after this is the Young Male Carnivore Association.
Yeah.
It's not just to go swim in a public pool back in the day when you had dinosaurs, Steve. This is for young carnivores. Just trying to figure out what they're going to eat, how they like it. You know, eat a little swamp rat. You got to prove yourself. So Robbie, the eldest, he's having a little battle with his dad. His dad's all hyped up, but we see Robbie not sure about it, and Earl's just like good for the kid. You know, he needs to toughen up a little bit and get out of that Letterman's jacket, eat some shit.
We see Robbie's out with his friends, and we find out that he couldn't even eat the meat at the YMCA. Like, he actually threw it up. He doesn't want anybody to find out because he knows that his father would never live it down. So, like, don't tell anybody, man. Everybody in my family's a carnivore. My mom's a carnivore, my dad, my sister, the baby's a carnivore. So I can't let them know that I might be a herbivore. His friend's like, well, dude, you might be a herbivore.
If you like lettuce, you might be herbivore. His buddy, you know, kind of looks like a brontosaur. I don't know what subspecies he is, but he basically explains he's got to hide in the shadows, Steve. He's got to walk through alleyways to get to that vegan restaurant that he's eating salads at. So nobody knows who he is, using fake names. But, and I like this sell job, Steve. He's like, look, dude, nobody has to know. You could come with me. And let me tell you something. The vegetarian sniz, primo. There's vegan chicks all over the place down at this restaurant. You should come. And I like that sell where it's like you're kind of unsure, and your buddy's like, dude, there's going to be some puss, dude.
Dude, they serve chlorophyll. You know what that does for them, man. They get crazy. They get loose.
Yeah, dude. They're just walking on walls over here. But food for thought. Robbie gets an invite, but he's unsure if he's going to attend. But we go home. Baby still trying to eat himself. Robbie comes home a little late because he was walking with his buddy in the shadows, Steve, being curious about other things. His dad, Earl's just, stoked about the meat eating thing, the YMCA stuff. Charlene basically comes in, who's the sister, and she just blows up the whole spot because that's what you do for your big bro. She's like, yeah, he puked up all the meat. Robbie's a little bitch, Dad. What do you think about that?
Earl can't believe it. He's just like, wait. This can't be my boy, my baby boy. And then the baby shouts out, Herbo, Herbo. Fran says, like, where did we find this language, young man?
Oh, Daddy. He almost even says it to Robbie before the baby says it. He's like, they got a word for you down at the YMCA. Me and my buddies talk about people like you while we're having a brewski. So, he's insinuating a couple things. Robbie's getting pissed. Herbo, dude, he ain't selling dime bags, Steve. I guess it's a bigot because it sounds like it's kind of a bad word.
Yeah. Or homophobe.
Hippie, dude. Fucking hippies. Because that's the other, the parallel. It might be gay guys. It might be just hippies in general and that kind of thinking. He's soft, Steve.
Yeah, I feel like they grabbed from both of those throughout this episode because as we see later, Robbie's trying to explain the importance of eating vegetables. I think the mom says, Robbie isn't one of those radicals. Look, I'm going to ask you now, have you ever been a herbivore? And then Robbie just goes to his room.
He refuses. He pleads the fifth. Earl's in shock. But I like Charlene also being the bratty sis. Is like, hey, Dad, I know your son's a disappointment, but I'm fully carnivore.
She just opens up the refrigerator and all the meat inside, they're just like, oh, it's her again.
She doesn't eat one of the things? I must have looked down. But Francine, the person of sound mind and body in this family, is like, hey, Earl, you got to fix this. You got to go up and talk to Robbie. And I was like, I'm not going to talk to that Herbo. Piece of shit. Ain't great. But Fran does what every wife does to their husband at some point. Gives him the stink eye, which lets you know you're in the doghouse. He decides, fight the fight that you can win. Go fuck with your son.
He says something like, he doesn't even trust his own parents. I'm going to go search his room. Then, like, while they're looking through the room, he sees broccoli in a bag. He was like, what? Now, I could see a carrot, maybe even some lettuce, but he goes straight to broccoli.
I have no son.
You know who he got that from? It's probably that uncle of yours, Uncle Elmo, you one that no one ever talks about.
Yeah.
I remember him eating food off the side of the plate, on the wrong side of the plate.
Broccoli eating motherfucker. You want to be like him? The one person that's not there, Steve, Robbie. He's gone. He's vacated. So they're left to hug and cry in the room as they're dealing with this new news that this strapping young son that they have is a soft broccoli eating radical. And then we cut to the veggie place, Steve, which I didn't catch the name of. But this is like a vegetarian dinosaur heaven, Steve. There's chicks everywhere. People are just eating broccoli and cauliflower. There's ranch dressing just everywhere to dip. It's
Shredded
fantastic.
lettuce. Yeah.
Maybe a squash. Robbie's taking it all in, man. If this was the 70s, he'd be taking a hit of acid. Prehistoric vegetarian place, he's taking a hit of lettuce. And just listening to the Bob Dylan, the broccoli is so good to me.
And while he's eating the lettuce, the girl starts flirting with him. Robbie, being manipulated and influenced by peer pressure, he goes face first into the veggies. He's going to town on that shredded lettuce, and then Earl shows up. Robbie's like, what are you doing here? You're embarrassing me. Whoa, I'm embarrassing you? You little herbo? Huh? You little
Motherfucker
Vego?
got a face full of lettuce. Look at you. He blasts the whole spot. He's coming in Squaresville into this vegetarian place. The chick with the pea earrings can't believe it. Bob Dylan unplugs his fucking guitar. And Robbie's just kind of stuck like in the middle here. He can't stand it anymore. And I like Robbie goes full MLK on this and has a dream that someday dinosaurs aren't going to be judged by the content of their lunch pail, Steve, but by the content of their character. So we're going full civil rights now into this. I didn't know this was such like a linchpin moment for dinosaurs, Steve.
Yeah, it's about the evolution of dinos, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and look at Earl. This guy's eating meat constantly. He's got a fupa. He can barely walk. Robbie, look at him. Give him some roids, some spiked shoulders. He's the walk of the town, and he's eating some lettuce. Let him do
Keep,
that.
keep his blood sugar down.
Exactly. You don't want him to have dinosaur obedience, Steve.
Dinobetes.
Somehow we got to figure out we're gonna copyright that dinobetes. That's ours. We'll figure out what to do with it. The chicks in this place, they love MLK Robbie. Earl not appreciating it, and he just yanks Robbie out. And Robbie's a teenager, Steve. So imagine you get yanked out of some place by your guardian, you get embarrassed, and that's kind of where we're at, Steve. But Earl, he's like, I can't believe what I'm hearing here. I've been working this job pushing trees down day and night. Me and Roy can't hang out because I got all these kids and you're doing this shit. You're eating cherry tomatoes instead of fucking swamp rats. What the fuck?
And he takes him out hunting, but Robbie's like, I don't want to kill things. He tries to like bond with him, and he says like, look, Robbie, when I was about 14, I experimented with some lettuce, but hey, we're dinosaurs. We have a reputation.
Yeah. Here, eat this weird looking rat thing. Prove it. Can you give me something better than this? Like, we got fucking steaks at home. I gotta eat this.
Like, I don't want to, Dad. And then even the little rat thing says, what's wrong with this kid?
Raising a pussy?
He's a
Right,
vejo.
dude. Yeah, dude. But then while all this is happening, kind of hear this sinister music start, and this something comes upon everybody in this little clearing, and it's clearly something bigger than even Earl and Robbie. Some giant carnivore, Steve, because we thought dinosaurs, they were the top of the food chain, but there's always something bigger, Steve. Some movie
Salt,
like that.
salt monster.
Yeah, dude. While this thing comes upon them, Earl turns into a fucking linguine noodle. He can't do. He's just like, ah. Robbie gets eaten, leaving Earl alone, crying again. Steve Earl's crying a lot in this episode.
Yeah, because he sees his shoes. He sees Robbie's shoes, but he doesn't see Robbie. The salt monster not only ate Robbie, but it ate the little rat creature. We see in the next scene, Robbie ends up in the monster's stomach, and him and the rat thing are just waiting to be digested, I guess.
Belly of the beast, Steve. He's sitting there with the rat thing. There's a frog thing too that comes. There's some like animated thing that they eat, but he's stuck in here. He can't get out.
It's like
And
purgatory.
basically, Steve, we'll get to that later. Robbie made some bad decisions. He learns the real lesson that big dinosaur, little rat thing, when you get down to it, you're all the same once you're in something bigger stomach, Steve. It's just a matter of time. It's pretty deep.
Earl returns home, and Fran, she's got 20 questions plus more. She asks, like, did you teach him about the food chain? Well, yeah, but he's eating, Fran.
They
Earl,
killed him, B. They killed him.
he's delirious at this point. Then Charlene comes in, like, well, so what happened? Well, I can't tell you. It's something with Robbie, and you're just not at the age to hear that. Well, who ate Robbie?
Yeah, Earl's handling this like a bitch. The ladies of the house are like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
go get him. Fran's answer to this is basically like, well, just go get him. It's like,
Just
oh, bitch, you didn't see this thing?
Simple solutions. I like Fran.
I mean, for real, path of least resistance, Steve. Occam's razor. But I do like Earl has like this legal loophole where he's like, look, laws of nature apply here, Fran. I'm not sure if I can go and do anything. I mean, he got eaten by a carnivore, and that's kind of the thing. That's the law.
That's law.
So Fran's like, fuck that. The law says you can go get the motherfucker that ate your son, so do that.
Yeah, and also the law is you must protect your young no matter what.
Eventually, Fran's like, okay, we're going. So they got to go. We go to the forest. Earl's lollygagging. He's basically like, I think this is where he got eaten. I mean, yeah, here's a leaf that I saw. It doesn't look like he's putting a lot of effort in, though, Steve.
Look, all salt monsters look alike. How would I know which one it is? And then, right as he says that, the salt monster shows up. He's like, "Look, I think that's him."
Yeah, that's him. Earl's pretty confident that that's the one. So we're assuming he gets eaten because we show up in the belly again. We cut to the belly. We see Earl coming in. Robbie's psyched. He's psyched his dad shows up. But as soon as Earl stops spinning, because that's what happens when you get eaten, you spin right into the stomach. As soon as he lands on his feet and gets his sea legs, they start arguing again, Steve. He's like, "Are you still on this lettuce? You eating lettuce in this stomach?"
Don't
Oh.
fraternize me, person who spits on the food chain. You want to make this work, Robbie? Look, again, eat that thing. Eat that little thing over there.
The rat's not pleased with that, but I mean, it's the law of nature, Steve. And he tells him, like, eat that and you're forgiven. Basically, Earl then pivots and is like, "Look, man, it ain't even really about the eating of the thing. It's that you're not listening to me and you're constantly disobeying me.
Yeah.
Fuck all this other deep shit. It's like, I'm your dad. Eat that thing. When I say jump, you ask how high, and that's it. That's some honest fucking business, Steve."
All I want was for you to live your life exactly like me. But Robbie plays reverse Uno. He's like, "Well, did you do everything that Grandpa did or thought everything that Grandpa thought?" And he's like, "No, but Grandpa didn't know what he was talking about. He was a fucking moron. I'm your dad, though. I'm different." It was like, no, it seems like it's kind of the same thing. And right now, I'm all about evolution of dinosaurs. You might have been a carnivorous lunch meat eating dino in your heyday, but look, I learned the benefit of eating vegetables.
I'm the 2.0 of Earl.
Yeah.
Earl. This is what happens. Iron sharpens iron, and eventually you just get better. So that speaks to Earl. He gets through to the meathead, Steve. And Earl's like, son of a bitch, I respect that, basically. And as they're coming to this understanding, shit starts getting more mushy and mushy. There's hugging, there's laughing, there's crying, there's sayings of "I love you, son and father." And something that I didn't know about salt monsters, Steve, maybe you did, just being mushy just really makes him nauseous. And we hear the salt monster from outside his body go, "Ugh, stop being a bitch."
Once they realize that, they embrace even more, and it makes the monster so queasy that he throws up both Robbie and Earl.
Ugh. I like even the rats get into it too. They're like, "Oh, I love you too." They're just,
Yeah.
everyone's all in on this plan. So they get vomited out, disgusting, but they're alive. This is how you clean up an ending, Steve. You end this thing, all the loose ends are tied up. And when we cut to home, we cut to a new, better, more civilized dinner table, Steve, that has both meat and vegetables. Something for everyone. But the
Yeah.
baby's still trying to eat its tail.
There's still that. 1992, Glengarry Glen Ross premieres, an examination of the machinations behind the scenes at a real estate office, directed by David Mamet, starring Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin, Ed Harris, Alan Arkin, Kevin Spacey, and Jonathan Pryce.
Great movie, Steve. Technically, acting wise, great movie. I'm not a fan of this movie. And I have two
Little
different reasons for that. But what do you think of it?
It's a little slow. I mean, with the star-studded cast like this, very professional thespians, if you will, it does provide us that. So you go through this 90 plus minutes, you're not left with nothing.
The acting, and there's moments in this. Alec Baldwin, he's in this like 5 minutes. He gives an insane speech. His coffees for closers speech,
Yeah.
very famous, and brings me to one of the reasons I hate this movie, Steven. It's because I'm an old man. It's because I ended up in sales, as a lot of degenerate people do in the middle of their life. And what I see in this movie are people who are I'm working with that believe this movie's real life, that live their life in mediocre sales and have moments where they're like, "Coffees for closers, the leads are for winners." You're holding like golden balls next to their dick, like, "You gotta have big brass balls." So
Okay,
that's one
boiler
reason
room.
I don't like
Jeez.
it. The speeches themselves, dude. Specifically for me, there's one moment in this where Al Pacino completely lets loose on Kevin Spacey after he fucks a sale up, or I forget the exact moment. But he goes off on somebody who is, I guess, kind of his boss in a way that I dream of doing someday. So I feel like that's what you get out of this movie. You're going to be bored because it's all people talking about business, and there's like a weird sort of break-in mystery that we have in this movie too, with Lemon and everybody that works in this office. But I think what you come away with, at least for me, it's slow, but you get like three hellaciously amazing monologues from, I mean, top tier actors, Steve.
There's only so much you can do with the real estate theme.
Just all the backstabbing and just like the politics of the office and just sales in general. It's just like that's what this movie's about. And I think the lasting legacy is that, you know, this is also a play, and I think it works better for a play. And I think the lasting legacy of this is that people still like there's new actors that play these parts. And this is like some sort of like acting, like a top tier acting gig to get, where this is like an acknowledgement, like you're a legend. Like I think that's why these people got these roles in this movie and why people like continue to act in this play, because it's such a legendary like bunch of performers and performances. But you know, ultimately, I'm not going to rewatch this every year. You know what I'm saying?
On that same day in 1992, The Mighty Ducks premieres. A self-centered Minnesota lawyer is sentenced to community service, coaching a ragtag youth hockey team. Directed by Stephen Herrick, starring Emilio Estevez, Joss Ackland, and Lane Smith.
This is a movie I will go back and watch every year if I think about it. I love this movie. Huge part of my childhood. Watching it again, still love it. A lot more questions when you watch it as an older person. Like, why does a guy who has a DUI charge get to work with kids? Cool, get past that. Guy has a limo driver because of the DUI charge that he gets set up with from his company. Love that. But why is the limo driver, car driver, constantly hanging out with these kids? I don't feel like that's right.
It's kind of like the cousin of the blank check scene with the grown-ass woman kissing on.
Yeah, dude. And I didn't remember that like the impetus of him having to do community service was a DUI. I just never tracked for me as a kid. So I was laughing about that. Aside from those questions, I mean, this movie, one of the best portrayals of hockey in cinema, especially for kids. I mean, there's Slapshot, there's a couple other notable like hockey movies, but I feel like this is like to me the top one, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I forgot Little Pete is in this movie.
Yeah, yep, he's in it. Forgot that the black dude from Sandlot that was the pitcher did this right before Sandlot. So he's in two of the Hall of Fame sports movies for kids, which
From the 90s.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And also Moonwalker.
Yeah.
He was the kid with Michael
Oh
Jackson.
my God. What's that guy's name?
I think it's Brandon something.
Brandon Adams. Yeah, dude. That's a legendary resume just in of itself. But the evil coach, he played a lot of evil guys. He's great. Joshua Jackson, great in this. When I was a kid, honestly, Steve, thought Charlie was a girl. So
Yeah.
there was that. The German guy who Emilio's friends with, Hans, that guy creeped me out.
For the evil coach, his name was Lane Smith. And I thought that guy was in a lot more stuff than when his filmography shows. I always looked at him as the true value Tommy Lee Jones. Like, is there
Oh, yes, dude. What a great
is,
comparison.
is there a third guy who kind of looks like that? Because I could have sworn I saw this guy in a lot more stuff than what it showed.
Dude, this guy is in a lot of stuff. I'm sure there's somebody else that we're not going to be able to think of off the top
Yeah.
of our heads.
I feel like there's a third guy, but
Here's
Lane
my
Smith.
because he was in Son-in-Law. He was the dad in Son-in-Law, prick,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
He's in the Mighty Ducks. I'm There is somebody else that looks like this, and I'm not going to be able to think of it. But just circling back to just Mighty Ducks in general, here's how good of a movie this is. All these legendary kid actors. This is like an all-star. This is like Glengarry Glen Ross for kid actors. A lot of these kids were in heavyweights, transitioned to other movies. The Big Green, I think you'll see a few of these guys in. So there's that. You get Emilio. There's that. One thing I'd like to point out that I found out after a rewatch of this is that instead of Joshua Jackson, do you know who Charlie was going to be played by, Steve?
Who, Macaulay?
No, Gyllenhaal. A young Jake Gyllenhaal was forced to give up the role by his mother
Wow.
because she didn't want him to act yet. So we lost out on that. Still got a Joshua Jackson. And this movie was so popular. I don't know what came first, but the greatness of this movie create the need to name a hockey team after them in the NHL, Steve.
I feel like that's the case, yeah. JD Daniels is also in this movie. He played Charles in the Full House episode we covered, Silence is Not Golden. JD Daniels is the kid who got beat. Like his father was beating him up, and Stephanie was in his class. He doesn't show
Oh,
up.
okay.
Yeah, that kid. Yeah, he's in Mighty Ducks. He's one of the like main characters.
Credibility's gone. A young Jussie Smollett was in this, Steve. He's one of
Also
the
Juicy.
series. MC Gainey, who plays the driver, the creepy driver guy, Steve, this guy's a legend, at least in my personal movie taste. And I love that he was in a kid's movie because he usually plays like a criminal or a scumbag. Here he's just a happy go lucky driver, Steve, helping Emilio out.
Also in 1992, Of Mice and Men premieres. A nomadic farm worker looks after his dim-witted, gentle giant friend during the Great Depression. Directed by Gary Sinise, starring Gary Sinise and John Malkovich.
Also, Richard Reel from Office Space is in this, the old dude who kind of looks like Wilford Brimley. Oh, also the guy from Walker, Texas Ranger, the bar owner. What's his name?
CD,
CD's in this.
Noble Willingham,
Yeah, and
and
again,
Joe Morton.
yeah, and a guy who's played a lot of scumbags. His name is Mark Boone Jr. He was in Sons of Anarchy. He was in Batman Begins, the Christopher Nolan movie. He was a scumbag cop. A lot of like character actors in this, and obviously Malkovich and Sinise being the top two. And again, a movie that's probably technically great, just not my cup of tea, Steve.
I mean, I liked it, but mostly because of John Malkovich. To me, if it wasn't for his portrayal, I probably wouldn't have liked it. Probably wouldn't have thought much of it. But overall, the cast itself, everyone did a good job. I just feel like Malkovich stole the show.
But just a tip, because I remember this. I believe the ending in the movie is not the same ending as what's in the book. So if you're watching the movie, just make sure if you got to do some sort of book report, guys, just check the end of the book out so you don't mess up because you're going to lose some points.
In 1994, Simpsons is airing Season 6, Episode 4, Itchy and Scratchy Land. A family vacation to Itchy and Scratchy Land turns disastrous when the robots malfunction and turn on the tourists.
This is top tier, Steve. This is a legacy episode. One that I remember loving from the beginning, and then on rewatch, still just as good. Classic.
And this time around, the couch gag is the Star Trek reference. They just
start off pretty common start. Bart and Lisa just watching some Itchy and Scratchy, Steve.
Scratchy gets buff.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger like Steve, but then he gets poked with a needle millions of times, starts bleeding, and then the mouse just basically chainsaws off his pecs and all those muscles he's built. That leads right into segues nicely into a commercial for Itchy and Scratchy Land, Steve.
Krusty's urging the kids to just nag their parents. Just nag them. Nag them now. Be a nagger.
It's the most violent place on earth. I mean, how can you resist? And it works, Steve. That ad, Bart and Lisa go right from the TV, go to Dad, Homer, You go to the weak link first, Steve. I remember this. Homer, he's on autopilot. He's like, no, ask your mother. Fine. So they go to Marge, but she's already got plans, Steve. She wants to go to the bird sanctuary. This is a disaster.
Yeah.
Bird sanctuary? I've been on
And,
these kind of trips, Steve. It's
and,
just a bum out.
and then later, when Homer and Marge are in bed, Lisa, she shows up with Bart in a wagon saying, "Look, Mom, Dad, Bart's dead. Dead serious about going to Itchy and Scratchy Land."
That's good salesmanship, Steve. We're going back to sales and all this. This is a through line. So another Glengarry Ross possibility here. They're throwing a heavy sell on the parents, but they're coming with some good stuff here. They point out it's not just for kids, guys. There's adult stuff in Itchy and Scratchy Land. There's Parents Land, there's bowling, there's bars, and that's speaking immediately to Homer, you know?
Recipe related bumper cars, Hammock Land.
Even a rehab, just in case you get too into the adult stuff, Steve. You got to get off of it. You got to get rid of those shakes. But Marge, while very persuaded, she's just not sure because every time they do something and they go someplace, it's a disaster and she has got to pick up the pieces, you know?
They always get into a big fight. And then she thinks back about the other vacations they had when they went to Amish country and Homer's just stuffing ice cream cones on everyone's faces because he knows that they don't fight back. Then they cut to the sandy beach when Homer and Bart wearing shark fins scaring everybody off the beach.
And that's just two. She's got a whole Rolodex of that. So she's like, look, you got to promise you're going to be on your best behavior. You know, there's none of that. We're going to spend time together. We're going to learn things together. We're going to get exercise. We're going to be outside. All the mom stuff. She's like, maybe I'll say yes, but you got to adhere to these regulations.
Yeah, so they agree to go. When we see that Grandpa Simpson, he's the one left with the pet sitting duties. And as Marge is giving the directions and everything, he's like, "Well, just because I'm old, you think I'm senile?" So they pull off. He's like, which one of you is the mailman?"
Yeah, those pets might be dead, but it all happened so quickly. They're off. They're on the highway. This happens every once in a while. As people who are potheads, Steve, we got to worry about checkpoints. Not this kind, though, because Homer approaches what we see as a fruit and vegetable checkpoint. You can't smuggle veggies wherever they're going. And Marge is like, why are you freaking out? Because Homer's starting to get that itch. She's like, we don't have any vegetables or fruit anywhere. Look at you. But Homer's like, look, Marge, there was this get rich quick scheme. I got a trunk full of strawberries. We're fucked.
So Homer just speeds off. And then as Homer's going through the different radio stations, it's all about evil. Up next is Vanessa Williams, and then there's something evil. And up next is Frank Sinatra, and evil lurks.
And then Homer's starting to get groggy. Everyone's starting to fall asleep. The music's kind of slowing down. Marge is aware of it. She's like, we gotta go to a hotel. You're gonna fall asleep. And then Homer's like, I'm not even groggy, Marge. It's fucking. And we immediately cut to a car spinning out of control, going off the highway, hitting a pole of some kind, and just bursting into flames. But thankfully, that wasn't The Simpsons, Steve, because we pull away from the death and destruction and see Homer and the family in a motel window just seeing this happen.
They get back into the car, and Homer decides, look, I'm going to take a shortcut. He takes the off road, but it destroys their car in the process. But they finally make it to Itchy and Scratchy Land. It requires a helicopter to get to the actual location.
Kind of like Jurassic Park vibes, Steve. They're approaching. The pilot is like giving him a little tour, and he's like, welcome to Itchy and Scratchy Land, a place where nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh shit, possibly go wrong. And obviously that's also foreboding, Steve. Even the pilot's fucking up. But they're here now, even with a little bit of ominous music playing in the background.
Right at the gate, they ask if you want to buy some itchy and scratchy money. What good is this? Well, it's just as good as regular money. So he buys like over $1,000 of itchy and scratchy money, goes into the park, and it says, "We're not taking itchy and scratchy money," just about everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. So he's $1,200 in the hole with fun money, Steve. I don't know what the refund rate is on that. Marge, not really feeling it. You know, there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of weird shit going on. And there's this like skeevy manager that we keep seeing in this episode. And she like points out to him, she's like, you know, there's no consequences in any of this. All this violence you're showing, you never show any consequences. The manager's like, no, we do, lady. We make sure all the violence, there's always a consequence. And Marge is like, well, you showed the mouse took out the cat's lungs in an episode, played them like bagpipes, and the next scene, the cat was just fine. So where's the consequence in that? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. What's that? And just runs away because he's
Yeah.
a skeevy manager.
And then they go to a restaurant, and the whole menu is full of violent names. Bart makes his order, Homer makes his order. Marge is like, "What's wrong with y'all?" And they, get her up to speed. Like, this is actually a burger that I ordered. So she's like, "Oh, well, fine. I'll take the baby guts." Then the waiter's like, "Lady, you disgust me."
You bitch. At one point, they also have to drop off Maggie because she's a baby. She can't ride all these rides. And I love the child daycare center is just like a 10-foot deep ball pit that they're just hunking babies into. And when they move, they throw some more balls on top of them. Hopefully Maggie will be okay. We're going through the park. Marge is looking at the map of everything. And this place does sound kind of freaky, Steve. There's torture land, there's explosion land, there's searing gas pain land, which seems very specific, and unnecessary surgery land.
Yeah.
I'm not going to this place.
But before they do any of that, they hear that the parade is about to start. They show the parade, and it's pretty satanic, nightmare fuel, if you will. They even have a little baby axe. They
Yeah.
have, yeah.
Baby axes. Some of the robots have hit the other robots. They spurt little blood spurts. They got psycho eyes, no matter how you're looking at them. Marge brings up again, just like to the air. She's like, what's to stop these things from doing that to us? And a manager reminds that skeevy guy, comes over and is like, look, these things are programmed to only hurt each other. They will never hurt a human being. That's lock solid. That's a jinx, Steve. That's a jinx move.
Now they're on the log ride. At first, it's peaceful, it's serene. Then all of a sudden, it just gets dicey.
Yeah, like a saw comes in, saws the fucking log that they're riding in half, which sends them just flying out of the boat, and then they land on dirty mattresses, Steve. That's shifty. That seems like a carny ride. But they're alive, so I guess it's a Launchpad McQuack thing. They as long as you survive, you're good. And after that, Marge and Homer are like, you know what, kids? I think we've had enough together. Time for the adults to go just do some adulting. Okay? We'll see you guys later.
The first place they go to is Itchy's Disco. Homer's just like, yes, it's actually like the 70s all over again. They even see a bartender that looks like John Travolta.
Looks like, oh my God. Johnny, times are tough in the early 90s, Steve. That might have been Johnny T. But then we come back to Lisa and Bart. They're at a merch store. They're looking at stuff, all that expensive like goodies you can get at a theme park. And Bart sees, those personalized little bicycle license plates. It's like, oh, okay, I'll get me one of these. And he's looking for Bart. He's going everywhere. He's like, Bort, because there's no Bart, but he's like, Bort. Who the hell is sucking what needs a Bort? Who's named Bort? Somebody's like, hey, Bort. There's like 3 Borts in the building, Steve. That's the joke. So have you ever met a Bort?
Never. And I hope I never do. Then they go to a section where there's like these discontinued characters. And the one that stood out was the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, it's dicey. There's a reason they're no longer active.
Yeah.
And then we see kind of like what kind of starts the bad stuff in this episode, because Bart's mischievous. So he sees one of these characters in like a costume in the store, stomps right on his foot.
Yeah.
And he just laughs. And I worked at a theme park, Steve. This happens a lot. This is just like an inclination kids have, is just to fuck with people in costumes. So, see what happens. Fuck around.
Now Homer and Marge, they're at this New Year's room where the orchestra or the band, they're just playing the New Year's theme all over and over again.
It's just New Year's constantly. I love this because this is indicative of anybody you meet at anything where you think it'd be cool to work at. Marge is like, it must be awesome just to work in a place where it's always New Year's. And the guy's like, kill me. Just hates it.
Back to Bart and Lisa, they're in Itchy's minefield. While that's going on, Bart ends up kicking Scratchy now.
Yeah. Also, we see they're watching like a little historical video of like the history of Itchy and Scratchy. And we see the guy who made it is named Roger Myers Sr. Kind of obviously given shades of Disney here. According to this video, widely beloved right up until this controversial cartoon he made in the late 30s. Nazi Supermen are our superiors, Steve. Clearly, he had a couple of weird clubs he was involved in, let's put it that way. Then we get to see an excerpt from the Fantasia Itchy and Scratchy from back in the day where
Scratch-tasia.
yeah, Scratch-tasia, where the cat's cutting the mouse with an axe. He chops them into pieces. Those pieces turn into mice. And those pieces get chopped and turned into smaller pieces and this, that, and the other until the pieces are like vapor. And we see in Scratch-tasia the cat breathe in the vapor, which then becomes little mice in his body that chop him from the inside out. It's dark stuff, Steve.
Back to the parade, there's a little bit of foreshadowing because the Bama family, I think it's the Cooter, maybe, he snaps a pick at one of the robots, and we see that the robot malfunctions.
Yeah, just a little flash on the camera, so pay attention to that. After that happens, we see Bart yet again fucking with the staff here. He sees one of the mouse in costume. Credit to him, Steve. He throws a sniper dart of a stink bomb right into the mouth of this costume, causing havoc, causing chaos, but that's what Bart does, Steve.
I just want to entertain. And after that, we see the officer grabbing Bart and taking him to the detention center.
Yeah, jail time. So he gets thrown in like the Itchy and Scratchy gulag, but luckily he's not alone because his dad's already arrested. Homer's already arrested because he kicked one of the mouse in the knees. You're not supposed to do that. Sitting right there.
While that's going on, Marge is at the souvenir shop. She's ordering 5 shirts that says the best vacation ever. While she's doing that, we hear over the loudspeaker, Marge Simpson, we've arrested your son and your much older and fatter son.
Much older, fatter, bolder son. So she's embarrassed. And I like you hear some person like, if that was my family, I would be mortified. Just a little salt in the wound. And then we cut to like this lab, the behind the scenes, the Jurassic Park behind the scenes type situation. And Dr. Freudberg, resident genius in Springfield, comes in the lab frantic. Bloody violence. These robots are going to kill us all. And the guy's like, wait, what's going on? And the doctor explains like this issue with the robots. They're going to become killing machines. It's only a matter of time. They only have 24 hours left. But then he realizes he didn't carry the one. So it's actually D-Days now. We cut to a robot grabbing a lab worker, and these robots are now killing machines, Steve.
When the family reunites, the robots are approaching them.
Homer's like, I'm a political prisoner, Marge. Like, I thought this was America. And as he's doing that, he sees one of the robots like looking psycho, like Terminator style over at him. And he still thinks these robots can't do anything. So he's like, ooh, waving a kerchief at it and stuff, fucking with it. But it starts becoming pretty obvious that these things are not just going to stop, you know. They got red eyes, Steve.
Because Marge is telling him, like, those robots don't want to be your friend. It's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. He's just poking at it. While that's happening, the robot just cuts off strands of his hair.
Yeah.
Those 2 strands. I'm ugly now.
And Marge is like, God, I knew we shouldn't have gone to this stupid place and we should have gone to the bird sanctuary. Cut to the bird sanctuary. There's a bird apocalypse happening there where They've escaped. Hans Moleman's stuck in like some kind of a phone booth trying to survive, but clearly there was no good decision. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I thought that was hilarious. Don't they try to get to like a chopper that they see coming and like it's one of the guys that they were fucking with and the worker's like, see in hell, bitch, and just like kicks him off the helicopter.
Yeah. So they're stuck with the robots, and as they're approaching, Homer says, "No one ruins my family vacation but me, and maybe the boy."
And Lisa, I think a camera goes off and Lisa noticed like, hey, like that did something. So Bart hears this, and because he's Bart, he breaks a window of like a shop. And I mean, opportunistic, Steve. You need the cameras. So he steals a bunch more cameras and they get to work. They get to flashing, Steve, in the good way. You know?
What's the bad way of flashing?
Well, if you just walk into public and you start flashing people, you know what I'm saying? Somebody calls me and goes, yo, Steve was out in public flashing people. That's not a good call. You understand?
Well, if Steve does the flashing, but if Stephanie does the flashing,
Well, that's the double standard, Steve.
yes,
That's
it
the
is.
double standard.
Yeah, that's fair. They just send a melee out to these robots one after another until they all just collapse. Lisa, in the aftermath, says, "You know what? This is the best vacation ever." Marge is like, Wait, what the hell are you talking about? We got to get together, we got to exercise outdoors, and we'll have memories forever." And Marge is like, "Well, if you think about it that way, then yeah, I guess this is a good vacation."
But we're never speaking of it again.
Yeah,
So
never.
keep all those memories to yourself. And then a Roger Myers Jr., the current owner of the park, he's talking to Homer. He's like, here, so sorry for all the, like the mayhem, the murder, you know, the possible killings that could have occurred. Appreciate your help. Here's 2 free tickets to the park. And Homer's like, there's 5 of us. And Roger Myers Jr., the businessman he is like, here's 2 free tickets to the park.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you're getting. Freudberg, Dr. Freudberg's like in the background. He's looking at one of the robots, like the mass of these dead robots. He's like, man, I wonder what's going on in Euro Itchy and Scratchy Land. If this happened here, God, I can only imagine. We cut to Euro Itchy and Scratchy Land, and there's just no one there. And there's one French ticket taker who's just kind of salty, Steve.
He's just there to feed his family.
My
And
children need more wine.
then back at the house, they're watching Itchy and Scratchy. Marge doesn't understand what the appeal is. So Lisa breaks it down to her, and she's like, "Oh, okay." Lisa throws a shoe at Bart, and it makes Marge laugh at first. She's like, "Lisa, go to your room."
A lot of Marge eating crows, Steve. That's a through line in this.
That following year, 1995, Oasis would release their second studio album. What's the story, Morning Glory?
I mean, this is the one, right? This is it.
It has to be for me. I mean, I heard that they're a big deal to a lot of people. This album has the only song that I know about from this duo.
Where were you while we were getting high? Not my CD player, Steve. Bought this one, and I'm like you. I didn't get it really. I got this. I got Wonderwall. Everybody did, you know. I like to be sad listening to that every once in a while, but never continued. The brothers, the one that was like sort of the D bag, I think that was Liam. Maybe it was Noel. I don't know which one was which.
Maybe they both are.
Maybe they both are. There was one that was kind of more salty about being famous, right? That kind of turned me off, but people dig it. This was huge. I know people like you that got real amped up when they got back together recently. I know somebody that went to Europe to see them. They liked them so much. Me personally, I'd be just as happy hearing a guy sing this in karaoke well. That's all I really need. But shout out Oasis, man. They figured it out.
Well, shout out to Wonderwall. But in 1998, Ants premieres. A rather neurotic ant tries to break from his totalitarian society while trying to win the affection of the princess he loves. Directed by Eric Darnell and Tim Johnson, starring Woody Allen, Dan Aykroyd, Anne Bancroft, Jane Curtin, Danny Glover, Gene Hackman, Jennifer Lopez, John Mahoney, Paul Mazursky, Sylvester Stallone, Sharon Stone, and Christopher Walken.
I mean, but they had to put damn Woody Allen as one of them, Steve.
And that's what I could not get behind.
As a kid, I could give a shit. Now I find it weird, but I mean, of the insect animated movies, this wasn't it. I like B-movie better than this.
Yeah, the fact that Woody Allen is the main bug.
Are there any younger ants I could hang out with? Are there any young ants?
It was that, and I couldn't get past the early CGI Johnny Mnemonic virtuosity as PlayStation 1 graphics. Like, I don't think technology was advanced, but it just looks like a Windows screensaver.
Yeah, there's some weirdness to the animation. It is like that. It is like the 90s TV CG.
Reboot.
And I was talking about this with Kendra because she likes a lot, she likes animated movies a lot and more of these like type of movies than I do. And even she was like, this one just creeped me out as a kid. I don't like that movie. So they did it. They got these stars in it, which is great, I guess. But here's my thing when I see an animated movie filled with actual like Hollywood actors, there are some great voice talents, Steve, that could have used a paycheck. And I don't think Gene Hackman needed to play a voice, nor did he probably enjoy playing a voice. But that's me getting on my high horse a little bit. I don't care either way. But this movie, for animated movies in the 90s, cut it.
Well, I mean, those voice actors could sit one out. They get all the other voice acting roles. Paul Welker, Jim Cummings, and this is the guy we talked about last week. Like, yeah, they get everything anyway. But I digress. That same day in 1998, A Night of the Roxbury premieres. Two dim-witted brothers dream of owning their own dance club, or at least getting into the coolest and most exclusive club in town, The Roxbury. Directed by John Fortenberry, starring Will Ferrell, Chris Kattan, Dan Hedaya, Molly Shannon, and Richard Grieco.
This is an underappreciated gem for an SNL feature film. I think they've squeezed this premise and got a lot of juice out of it, surprisingly. Call it dumb, call it what you will. I love this movie. I think it's hilarious.
Same. It's pretty dumb, but it's 90s SNL produced. It's 90s Lorne Michael produced. So what would you expect? I do like the cameos from various SNL players. Colin Quinn, Molly Shannon's in it. Lonnie Anderson, we just talked about her being spoofed in SNL last week, and here she is playing the hot mom. That's one of those ladies that continued to being hot all the way to death. R.I.P.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we get Grieco. Michael Clark Duncan's in this. He's hilarious. Yeah. That guy that's the dad in this, Dan Hedaya, he was always knocked stuff out of the park. You said Colin Quinn. He's hilarious in this movie as a salty limo driver.
Yeah.
I love that. And the guy who's like, "Did you touch my ass?" Who is that?
Is that the same guy from A Bronx Tale?
Yeah, I think so. Who is it? What's this guy's name? God damn it, Steve. This is a funny skit in SNL. You didn't get a lot of like character building in it other than what you saw. For what they got out of it, I mean, this has knocked it out of the park, and it's hilarious. The stupid shit that they talk about, it's hilarious. The stupid premise for a club that they have, they like locks them into that, is hilarious. And yeah, dude. And it just proves, man, you put some like guys like Will Ferrell in a movie like this, you don't need shit, and they'll still make a good movie if they're talented enough.
Chaz Palminteri was his name.
Yes, and that guy's a legend, but he's so funny in this. And that it's weird to see him playing this this movie, you know?
Totally. Because of this movie, it broke up Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan's relationship. Like they haven't been friends pretty much since this. Like clearly they still work together on SNL, but they didn't really collaborate after this.
Jim Carrey also uncredited, but did a lot of contributions to this movie, which I love. Maybe that's why it's so good.
Yeah, facts. On that same day in 1998, What Dreams May Come premieres. Chris Nielsen dies in an accident and enters heaven, but when he discovers that his beloved wife Annie has killed herself out of grief over the loss, he embarks on an afterlife adventure to reunite with her. Directed by Vincent Ward, starring Robin Williams, Cuba Gooding Jr., Annabella Sciorra, and Max von Sydow.
If you're feeling sad, do not watch this movie. This movie is dark. Oddly enough, Steve, I was talking to my parents about this because I remember seeing this as a kid. We watched this as part of like a church thing. I like this movie. It's a bummer, but
It
I
really
think
is.
it's a tour de force for Robin Williams in terms of acting, and it's not fun. There's not a whole lot of joy in this movie, and him being the goofy Robin Williams that you like as far as his comedic stuff is this dark shit, and he nails it. I feel like.
Definitely a change of pace for him. We find out early in the movie that both of his kids died. And then not too long after that, his character dies. Then not too long after that, we find out his wife committed suicide. So, like you said, man, it's pretty sad and depressing and dark. We start off on a sour note, but despite all of that, the performances are great. I don't think Cuba Gooding Jr. gets enough credit for his performances in films. I know that in the last couple of years, that's been overshadowed by his off screen antics,
Yeah,
but you know, he's got some classics in him, man. Annabella Sciorra, I remember her initially from Jungle Fever, but she did her thing in this. I also enjoyed the cinematography. It has this pretty artsy look, and I think this film didn't get its fair share of credit. Again, this is another 98 movie that didn't get the love in the box office when it initially came out. But I think because of the stuff we're saying, the dark theme to it, I think that might have kept people from attending the
yeah.
theaters to watch this movie, man.
It's not like they're going at like a horror movie portrayal of hell, but I do think that, like you said, the cinematography is fantastic in it. And also, just like there's pretty, like, sort of stereotypical visions of heaven and hell, you know, the white clouds and that, this and that. And I think the way that they depict the afterlife in this is really interesting and pretty. You know, that's explained like everybody has their own afterlife and it is whatever you make it, which I think is cool, but it also, it's like the person's like personality. So like a lot of Robin Williams stuff is like it looks like he's in a living painting at the beginning of it, which I just
Yeah.
think is really cool. And just speaking of like on them making a movie like this, it heavily deals with like afterlife, and that can get into like religion and stuff, and I feel like they did a great job in simplifying everything and not being really specific about what the religion is or like anything about it. Like they kind of pick and choose stuff. They talk about being reincarnated after
Yeah.
you know, when you want to and stuff after you die. So yeah, man. I mean, it's a heavy movie, but the heaven depictions great. And I think when they go into like the hell and the purgatory, whatever you want to call it, it's freaking really cool looking and really freaky, and like not a gory way or not in like this intense
Fire and Brimstone.
disgusting way. It's just like trippy, just really scary. Like the one where it's just faces sort of coming out of like dirt and he's stepping over him and there's just people talking to him, and I don't know, man. It's just like unsettling.
It's like a Pirates of the Caribbean meets Mad Max kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, but again, like, it's just not something I don't hear a lot of people talking about this from my age era. I think a lot of people didn't see this or, you know, maybe didn't appreciate it as much, but I don't know. It stuck with me as a kid, maybe more because of like just like the visuals, but watching it like now, yeah, man, like it's a beautiful movie. It's sad that not a lot more people know about it, but it's definitely worth one watch.
Any callbacks or scabs on the knee you want to share?
Um, Well, we had a little discussion pre-show, and I could talk about how great Robin Williams is because that's kind of what I was gonna do. Is just like how, but we've done that, so I'm not even gonna waste my time. I would like to just give a big shame on you to, and this is me repeating myself too. SNL. I don't know what the hell's going on with like us being able to watch full episodes, but there's a lot of stuff where we're like changing narratives and like past, and we're not being able to see things from like the 90s or whatever for various reasons, whether it's licensing or it's not something we like to remember or whatever. But put the SNL shit. It should be like something that we as a United States culture, it should be in like a museum, and everyone should be able to watch every episode to see what it was, to get some context for what life was like. And I know it's something small, but it just is annoying to me, not only because we have this show, but just as somebody who would like to relive some of those things. It's like, even if it's not appealing like to the culture now, like we can deal with that. Like we should all be able to see things that maybe aren't necessarily culturally appropriate now that happened back then. And I just think it's annoying that that stuff's happening so much. So that's me being on my political soapbox, Steve. Call it what you will.
And all I got, man, was speaking of SNL, they aired the episode where Cypress Hill is the musical guest and Shannon Doherty is the host. That's a classic for several reasons. One being Cypress Hill is one of the exclusive musical acts to be banned from SNL. They did one song, if I'm not mistaken. They might have done two, but either way, one of the sets, DJ. What's the DJ? Damn it, I'm drawing a blank.
Jesus.
DJ Muggs, right?
Yeah, you got it.
DJ Muggs goes onto the stage smoking a joint. So, and this was in the 90s. What? This was 93. So, yeah, that definitely didn't get a pass at Studio C or whatever they do this, man. But classic episode.
Do that now, that'd be fine, man.
It's completely fine.
You could go buy a joint right outside of where they shoot that shit. But that's hilarious.
Lift the ban on Cypress Hill. It's beyond the time. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister, no one than anybody feels the way I do about you now, because I hate you. Please check out Crushgasm every Wednesday with Kendra G, our guy Clark the Shark on Podcastle, and Wrestling with Ronzilla on TikTok. This is Steve G and Matt G with
Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the flat kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Hey.
Now that was a big woman.